All right, our last video talked about kind of a refresher on graphing using point slope form. So this time we're going to refresh our minds on how we graph in standard form. Okay, remember we said standard form is ax plus by equals c. Okay, we use this to find our x-intercept and our y-intercept. Okay, on a graph, our x-intercept is the point where y equals 0, and our y-intercept is the point where x equals 0. Okay, so let's look at an example and kind of walk through it. We're going to use our postcards again, our post-it notes, to remember how to do this. Okay, so your very first post-it note should say standard form. That's the form we're looking at. And give this equation, because we're going to look at the equation 3x minus 4y equals 12. Remember, if you need to pause the video here so you can write this down, that'd be a good idea, and you can start it back up in just a second. Okay, step 1 is finding our x-intercept. Okay, so this is your second post-it note. Our x-intercept is, what did we just say back here? Our x-intercept is when y equals 0. Okay? We talked about this last time, so I'm going to kind of skip a little step here so we can remember. I want you to show this work on your card. Okay, I'm going to be looking for this, so make sure you show these steps. When y equals 0, this portion here is being multiplied, right? Negative 4 times y. Remember that anything times 0 is going to be 0, okay? So this portion here, we're just going to get rid of, okay? When we're solving for our x-intercept, we're only looking at the x's, okay? So our first step is going to be removing our y's. So we're left with 3x equals 12. Okay, how do we solve this? Remember, if these are being multiplied, we always do the opposite. Okay, the opposite of multiplying 3 times x is to divide by the coefficient, so divide by 3. Okay, once we divide, these cancel, and we're left with x equals 12 divided by 3. What is 12 divided by 3? Good, it's 4. Okay, x equals 4. Now, if you draw a graph, what point is that? All right, that is where our line crosses our x-axis. Remember, we have our x and our y-axis at positive 4, so it's right here. Okay, so your second post note should say, step 1 is finding your x-intercept. It should show how we found it, and it should show the point. If you need to pause here, that would be a good time, or you can move along with me if you're ready. All right, our second step is finding our y-intercept. If our x-intercept was when y equals 0, then our y-intercept is when x equals 0. Okay? So like we said before, if x is 0, that number times anything is going to be 0. Okay? So we can get rid of this. What are we left with? Notice that I didn't get rid of the minus sign because that's going to be important. Okay, we're left with negative 4y equals 12. And remember, we have to divide by our coefficient. So divide by negative 4. What's 12 divided by negative 4? It's going to be negative 3. Okay? Our y-intercept of negative 3 is going to be on our y-axis at the point 0, comma, negative 3. Okay, there's this point. If you need to pause here, now would be a good time. Or if you're ready to move along and you've shown me the step, your work, and your point, then you can move along with me. All right, our last step is to draw our line. So remember, we had an x-intercept of 4 and a y-intercept of negative 3. So our points should be here and here. Okay? So the last step is to just draw the line connecting our dots. All right. This should be your final post-it note. It should show the step to draw your line. Should show me what your x and y intercepts are, and should show me a graph. Okay, so what happens when we combine our graphs? Remember, systems of equations, systems of linear equations are two or more lines, okay? So we're really looking at times when we graph multiple lines, okay? So the first line we looked at in point slope form, and the second line we looked at in standard form. Okay? So when you're looking at systems of equations, you're taking one line plus the second line, okay? You're combining them to get this answer. This is step 3, our answer, okay? And you're trying to see where they intersect, okay? So where does our first line intersect our second line? It looks like this point right here. Okay, we're going to just guesstimate for now because it's hard to see exactly where it's at, but it looks like it's at about 2.5, -1. Okay? Remember, we can always plug this point back into our equations to see if it fits. We learned how to do that. Okay? I'm not worried about that right now. I just want us to work on being able to graph our lines and see where they intersect. But you can always check your answer by plugging your point back in. All right, that's graphing systems of equations using standard form.